Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in Yamato and we're going to show what happens when a team decides that they don't really need to get involved. And what do I mean by this? Obviously everybody is going to be playing. What I'm saying is that we're in a domination match. And one of the things that I try to stress to everybody when I make these sorts of videos is that when you play, especially a domination, your goal should be at minimum 3 things, right? Spotting, cap control, and map control. Those 3 things are very important. Right off the bat, we're going to fail number 1, which is spotting. Our destroyer, our lone destroyer, the one person that has the ability to go out spot for the team without being detected himself, turns tail, runs all the way behind the island. Now this is stupid because there's no reason for him to do this, right? Going behind the island completely benefits the enemy team because you cannot spot them when they are at their most vulnerable. The first beginning part of the match where everybody's turning just like we are right now. Look at our side right now. Look at everybody broadside, right? The enemy's doing the same thing. But the enemy gets to spot us because their destroyer goes forward. Our destroyer goes backwards. And thus giving the enemy team a huge advantage. Now Navarin takes a shot at us. We're going to go ahead and aim high here. He looks like he's going to turn away. We are spotted by the destroyer who's clearly in Bravo cap. Navarin shoots HE at us, gets a decent hit and a fire. We hit him back for nothing. We get nothing. Look, Navarin number 2 has stepped up to the plate. Great. But we are burning, and he actually shoots AP, showcasing that, yes, the AP is the better choice here, because he did more damage to me with AP than the guy got with all of his fires damage up to this point. Now, obviously, I don't want to put out the fire right away, but the enemy Des Moines has decided to YOLO into the cap. And he has lost a lot of his health already. I'm in danger because I'm broadside, but there's not much I can do about it. I just gotta hope that they don't slap me for it, right? Now, as we push in, the enemy Des Moines is absolutely begging for it. Now, we know he's likely to go forward. He takes a shot at us. You can see he's already slowing down. Take the shot as he goes to go forward. This man should be dead, right? Blunk. But, of course, in true Spartan fashion, we gotta leave him with just enough to get away. And he's going to continue to be a problem for the rest of the game. Now, pay attention to what's going on in the minimap. Right now, we have a battleship angled away behind me, probably still capable of shooting things, so there's that. A cruiser that has put himself into the cap, essentially. And we have 3 people sitting behind an island in the middle of the map, and 3 people sitting behind an island on the left side of the map. Nobody is actively trying to get any sort of advantage. Now, their Z-52 has come over to A, shoot at us, B, help their team capture the base, and 3, continue to be a problem for us. So now I've got to make a decision. Do I stick to this side, which I've committed to, or do I try to rotate back to the other way and see if I can maybe help that side out? Now, we're going to get some pretty bad RNG early on. Frederick de Grossa already gets torpedoed to death, which is silly in and of its own, because how the f did he get torpedoed to death from there? Where did the torps come from? Well, the torps came from the cruiser that was right in front of him in the Alpha Cap that went broadside and got killed. So, a guy that has the ability to have sonar gets himself torpedoed. Alright? Sometimes you can't avoid it, right? We'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. But, what that does now is our destroyer has decided to push all the way out on that left flank. Our cruiser has turned around and run, and then we still have 2 battleships and a cruiser sitting in the middle of the map, behind an island, mostly. Now, as we are fighting for everything we can do over here, we've done an okay amount of damage, but not really. I mean, 40,000 damage is not a whole lot, but we're going to shoot high up into the superstructure of the GK. You can see we are actually talking to somebody in chat, or I forget what it was. Like, I think it was a guy that was, like, breathing into his mic or something. I forget. But his mic kept getting, like, triggered. And so, like, I think I got in there and I was like, dude, just mute your mic or something like that. But anyway. Kerr first pulls out. We get a better hit that time. bringing us up to 60k. We're going to go ahead and take another shot. Again, we're not getting the best RNG ever. And now we're getting shot from the other side of the motherfucking map. The Brisbane, all the way over there, shooting us. Now, the battleship has decided to go over and investigate what's going on, probably because he has nothing else to shoot at. And he is now turning to run away again. So he's spent all this time behind the enemy, or behind the island in the middle. We're going to try to get a shot here to get us some damage on the backside of the GK, just to try to help get some damage off of this guy, but unfortunately didn't lead him enough because we were trying to squeeze the shot in before he got behind the island, instead of simply just waiting for him to come out the other side. That's misplay on my part. But GK is full broadside. Our cruiser is going to go down. Venezia goes down, which is unfortunate because that would have been real nice to have against the destroyer. But between me and the friendly GK on this flank, we should be able to easily get rid of this GK because now we have a crossfire set up. He's out on the right flank. I'm out in the middle. This GK really doesn't have much he can do about this. Now, GK takes a shot at me. Not too worried about it. As you can see, a couple of his shells hit the turret face, and he gets no damage. Now, as we go dark, we still have to keep in mind that there is a destroyer here, right? So I can't go too crazy. There's also battleships in the middle of the map, and we've got to be very, very selective as to what we end up doing here. Now, as the GK starts to move out, you can see the bow of his ship starting to peek through. The friendly GK slaps him. We're going to aim up about halfway up the waterline because we just want to make sure that we get as many shells on target as possible. And of course, once again, we hit him and leave him with just enough to get away. And he should die pretty quickly, right? Like, I don't think anybody's going to say that he's going to live that, but it's just unfortunate. Now, a second GK comes forward. And we still have the enemy destroyer out here. Now, the destroyer seems to be going after our GK, probably because he's a large target and relatively easy to hit. Their GK decides going broadside is the best side, so we're going to show him why that's a bad idea. We hit him for 19,000 damage. And then our GK comes through and smacks him. Never mind, I lied. GK missed. And we're in a good position here to at least defend ourselves against the people that can shoot us. But the problem is, this game is getting out of hand. We've got 4 people dedicated to that left flank, but they're not really doing anything. We got a couple of forward cruisers. They're probably going to get themselves killed. And then we have the destroyer that's still doing circles in the background. And we got the battleship running away. Again, that's what, the 4th time that battleship has run away? He sat in the middle for the longest time, and then he went to the left, ran away, and now he's doubling back to run back all the way across the map. He will end up being one of the last people alive on our team. But do you see the difference between one team's destroyer player and the others? Their destroyer goes forward, captures a base immediately, right? Helps get the right flank. He actually came after me, so he didn't get the cap in the middle. But I've got a problem here because now I'm going to be in a crossfire between everybody on the map because I'm essentially the only one left, right? Our GK is running from their destroyer on my right flank. My destroyer still refuses to, like, actually go forward and do things. Maybe he's torping those guys. I have no way of knowing. I'm just judging by his positioning on the map for the entire match. And this guy gets a really nice salvo out of the GK's front guns. You can see, good news for the GK behind me is that the destroyer isn't actually going for him anymore. He's doubling back to try to come for me because I'm clearly the one doing the most for our team. Right? Like, I've been the one that's been in a decent position, able to affect the enemy's plans, at least on this flank, for the entire match. Now, as we go for the superstructure and guns here, we get a beautiful shot. He makes the huge mistake of trying to go through my turret cheek at this range. And again, the Yamato is the Yamato and Musashi are the only ones that you really have to worry about at this angle. GK can get some sneaky shots through the cheek, but it's unlikely at this steep of an angle to go through, right? Because he doesn't overmatch. Whereas 32, or the 18.1 inch guns of the Yamato and Musashi do overmatch. So if he continues to shoot, and he gets one of my guns here, so I have to use that. Probably not the best idea to go ahead and fix the gun, knowing that there's a destroyer nearby, plus there's the HE from the secondaries of the GK that can set a fire, and the fact that Yamato doesn't have the best damage control in the world, allowing for the fires to come back relatively quickly if you're not careful. But as GK reverses, I think he forgets that he's like 1,000 feet long, and he reverses out the other side of the rock, and we just slap through the backside of the ship, taking him down. Now, I'm effectively angled against most of the rest of their team. They have managed to kill the battleship there, but the destroyer has now turned tail and run all the way to the back corner of the map. Again! Now here, you would think the destroyer would want to go to the middle of the map and feed on some more battleships, but that ain't what he does. He ends up sticking around the backside of the island, and we're going to go try to get some shots into the navarin, and I'm going to find out relatively quickly that the navarin does have an extended belt that I keep forgetting about. And I apologize if I sound terrible right now. I do have, I've been sick all weekend. Those of you who were in the stream yesterday, you guys probably know too. But, yeah, I'm just not doing well. But, the enemy Yamato has come back, and he is rotating perfectly to be a problem. Now here, I aim low. The shells go mostly high as he comes towards us, right? He's coming towards us. Those shells are going to land higher than where I aim. And so we punch right through the bow of the navarin. We get triple fired. That puts out the fire immediately, and then we end up using our damage control to come back right after we got triple fired and got our fight fire with fire activated. But navarin tries to bow tank. We're going to go straight through, getting 4 penetrations, and then we end up on double fire again. The cruiser over there, the Brisbane, is trying to kill us. And again, there's nobody there to counter him because our entire team is back in the back. And GK, like I said, I got no qualms with the GK because he's been doing things on our flank the whole game. I don't know what's been going on the other side. I can only judge based off of the minimap. But what I've seen is a clustered mess of unorganized nonsense. And you can see the navarin is full health. Why is he full health? Because he's done nothing. He's spent the entire game doing nothing, as best as he can to do nothing. Now, maybe he has 200,000 damage. We don't know. We got 219,000 damage on our flank. We did everything we could try. But, unfortunately, the team has been more interested in like, keeping their distance than map control or cap control. And that has led to them into this situation where they are completely surrounded. The enemy has all of the caps, and we have no chance of winning unless the enemy is just an absolute imbecile, and they all go broadside and get themselves killed. But, let's be real, 9 times out of 10, that is not the case. Most of the time, these guys are going to live. Now, the Z-52, again, taking the long way around the islands, he's got 3 minutes left in the match. We are down 500 points, roughly. Not quite 500. We'll call it 450. 450 points. Our GK is broadside to God and everybody. He gets slapped by the enemy Yamato. And so he's not long for this world. And you can see their destroyer, once again, is in a position to be useful for his team, while our destroyer is going to the one place on the map where he can't be useful. He's going to the cap. Why is he going to the cap? Nobody knows. My guess is he just wants to get a little bit of extra XP to make himself feel better about doing nothing for the entire match. But that could be completely wrong. Maybe he torped the crap out of crap. I don't know. Again, I'm just doing this from the outside perspective of what I saw on the minimap during fighting for my life and my flank the entire match. You know, it started with him running away at the beginning of the match, not spotting for the team, and it has continued for the entire time. He spent most of the time being behind our teammates on the left flank rather than out in front, spotting, potentially being useful. And again, there were a couple of cruisers over there. One of them was a Brisbane, so you know there's at least a radar there. But then again, Brisbane has the ability to use smoke now, and given the fact that there was a smoke screen out there, I think Brisbane probably was a smoke screen Brisbane rather than a radar. And so, did this guy actually have to deal with radar? I don't know. At some point, he got close enough to get shot at, so there's at least that. But capturing this base means absolutely nothing. And worse than that, the navarin is now going to get into the cap with him. Again, under 2 minutes to go. You're down by, at this point, 670 points. So, what's the game plan here? What's the strategy? There isn't one. There hasn't been one from the start. And that is the problem with most teams. That is why there are so many raffle stomps. People don't understand what they should be doing at any given moment in their ships. And again, this guy in chat right now is just breathing into his mic. He's not actually talking at all. So despite having a microphone the entire time, all he's done is breathe, which is probably about all he's done in the match period, is just breathe. But now he's completely surrounded. He's in a navarin. He's not long for this world. Gets caught full broadside. All of his health disappears. And he's not long for this world. But at this point, less than a minute to go. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. Like I said, the only way we win this is if the enemy is dumb enough to go completely broadside and lose all their hit points. Their Yamato is finally committed to coming in. Of course, he hasn't had to come in the entire game because he's had spotting the entire time. So sitting at 18 kilometers and sniping with the Yamato is a perfectly viable strategy as long as you're continuing to put pressure on the enemy team everywhere else. And that's what his team has been doing. So it is one of those things, like, you see both sides of the story as somebody who's got a lot of experience with the game, right? Like, as somebody who was fighting my flank, I fight my side as hard as I can. I've had no spotting. I've had to do basically everything myself. The GK being a little bit of support on our side. Venezia getting himself killed relatively immediately. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where one team has all of the pieces they need and work together relatively well, whether they were meaning to or not, and the other team is an incongruent conglomeration of just pieces, right? Just pieces that never actually materialize into anything important. So you can see Z52 clearly didn't do much. He was the last person alive, ends up halfway down the leaderboard in a destroyer, which is one of the easiest classes to play. Meanwhile, their C-52 actually ends up in the same position, but that's mainly because he spent the entire time trying to torpedo me and the GK, and we weren't getting torpedoed, right? He captured a base, which is more than our destroyer ever did, until the very end, which it meant absolutely nothing. But his team also did a lot more, versus our guy that just didn't really get much of anything. But anyway, I thought this would be an interesting one that I could kind of explain both sides of the story, where you could see on the minimap what was going on the left flank, where they just weren't ever actually putting any firepower in any sort of like strategy. And then on the right flank, you had me and the GK trying to work together. The Venezia kind of went a little bit over and jumped into the cap a little bit crazily. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like these kind of breakdowns more? It was a good game overall. I wasn't too unhappy about it. It's just one of those frustrating games that you deal with. You get yourself dug in, you do everything you can to win, and sometimes you're just not going to. So let me know what you guys think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.